Welcome to our 6th episode of our Fireside Chat. I'm Tim Holick, and with me as usual is my good buddy Joe Zinni.
Good afternoon, Tim.
How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Happy New Year.
Same to you, brother.
We haven't talked to anybody since the New Year, but I hope everyone's doing well. It is our 6th of our series, and I'm really enjoying these.
Me
We're
too.
having a lot of fun doing it. We get a lot of information out there. A lot of people finding out what it is that drives you.
Exactly. You know, what can drive them, ideas. I mean, wouldn't it have been great if we had had some type of mentor type person when we were young? How much further we would have been in life?
I was just having a conversation about that we talked about vocational education in restaurants and construction people, and more people get into it and out of it because of lack of business or mentoring or whatever it is. You taught yourself almost everything. I mean, you got the carpentry sense from BP. Mr. Plant instilled some work ethic things into you.
Yes.
You got driven by some of your business understanding from your dad, even though you were very young. But you taught yourself most of what you've done.
It's true.
So you're a self-made man, so we do these series so people can understand that it's not complicated.
No.
But there's a certain attitude you have to have.
It really is. And, I find a lot of people don't have that attitude. And like you said, restaurants that go out of business because they quit too early, they don't have enough business. Well, what did you do to change that up? What soured you,
Right.
and what did you change to make things better? People just think business is just going to come in the door. Sometimes you have to go after it.
You have to, no matter what business is, and I've heard before, oh, this practically sells itself. That is the worst answer ever when it comes to sales. Nothing sells itself.
That means you sit back and you stop. You stop that drive. And I really believe business is all about the drive. It's the excitement you bring. People say, Tim, how did, this is our 40th year. 1979 I started. It's 2019, and I can't believe it's 40 years myself. But what helped? How did you do it? It's like, it's really not magic. It's not easy, but it's not hard. You really have to have the right attitude. There's been plenty of things in my life, talking about today's talk, being not bitter, but being better. There's a lot of things that's happened to me in my time here.
Oh, absolutely.
Painful, almost losing the business, things like that. But,
Again,
I could change.
Your attitude. So what did you do?
I could have changed and stayed,
Yeah.
angry, mad, and not gotten out of it. I remember when I had a problem, an employee that wasn't paying our taxes and found out too late, and I could have stayed bitter. But, a lawyer friend who was, we spoke with at the time just says, do you have any money, Tim? No. Does she have any money? No. Then, that was your college experience.
Right.
Go on.
Right.
And that was like the best advice I could have ever gotten from somebody. Just move on. And that's what I did. Do you still think about it? Of course you do. I mean, when you get hurt by somebody or something, you got to think about it, but you can't let it take over your being. You got to become better. I took it on my responsibility that I did things wrong, and that's how that happened. I didn't blame her. I blamed myself.
You're not going to win if you blame anybody else.
No.
So last year you were preparing to do a quick speech over at BP, our alma mater from high school, and you said something that just sticks in my mind almost every single day. Be better, not bitter.
Yeah, that was the basis of the talk.
It was the basis of the talk because you talked about exactly, you ran into an issue. I have one written here, we don't have to go into that. You ran into an issue and you can be bitter about it, or they can be bitter about it, or you can make it better. And as far as I'm concerned, when you resolve the problem, you've made it better.
That's right.
And it's time to move on. Tell me about your thoughts on better, not bitter. Why did you tell me that? Or it's be better, not bitter. Why did you say that?
Well, it's an attitude adjustment, because if you focus on what made you bitter, whether it was something that hurt you, somebody that hurt you, something that maybe you did wrong, I'm a perfectionist, so sometimes it's me that causes that. You could stay bitter, but when you stay bitter, you hold on to those feelings, and those feelings control you.
Yes.
So what I say is, go beyond that. Be better than that.
Sure.
I don't mean be better, physically and better with your job, which you will, but be better in your mind to say, I can make this different. I'm going to change things. I'm going to get out of what I was in. Like I said, that was a big turning point in my life. I almost lost everything in my life because of not paying attention to my bookkeeping. And it could have ruined us. But you know, I got up at 4 in the morning. Sometimes I get home until 8 or 9 at night.
Wow.
7 days a week to get out of that because
But
we were
that's
a
what
lot
you
debt.
did. That's what you did to make it better. It's changing the attitude, changing what's going on. And when you talked about that bitter and being better than bitter to the students, did you hit everybody? More than likely not. But somebody's carrying around with them today, getting out of high school, whether they went into college or went into their trade, that they see situations come up because we run into situations every single day. And they thought about what Tim Holick said to them, I gotta make this better and stop being bitter. When you decided being better, tell me where it went from there. Tell me why, when you decided to make it better, you were able to defeat what happened before.
Because I didn't let it control me anymore. If I stayed bitter, it would have controlled me. The whole idea is to not let something else or somebody control you. You have to control your own destiny. So by letting that go and just forgiving and forgetting, you go on and you become better because your mind's thinking. I think that's what motivates me in life. Anything that happens wrong, tragedy, whatever, I seem to rise above. I think that's when my soul comes out and it just says, I'm gonna make this happen. And you know, not everybody has that in them, but just don't let it control you. That's what most people do. That's why they go out of business, they get sick, something else, because they let it control them. And I think it was Jim Rohn that said, you know, don't let something in your mind, if they're not paying rent, let it go.
Right.
Because it's going to take up your time, it's going to take up your energy, your emotions. And to me, emotions is everything, what you're doing in life, whether it's a job, whether it's a business. You know, you don't have to own a business. You can become successful working for somebody.
Absolutely.
With the right mindset.
Absolutely.
Too many people they take things too personally. When a business has to do something, they cut back, they do this, they might have to, during a recession, cut some money, so they cut your pay. You can't take that personally. You got to say the entity is more important than anything.
Right.
We don't have anything if this place doesn't survive.
Correct.
So it's all about mindset. Again, better, mindset like we've talked before. You have to just say, I'm going to be better than what happened to me, or better than what I did to myself, and go on. And that's the time when you let it go. Opportunity is always in front of us. We just don't notice it sometimes. And if you're bitter, you're not going to notice it as fast.
A big thing that you do too is it's part of patience. You've got something bitter. Bitter is, to me, is jealousy, anger, misunderstanding, greed. And I'm not talking about money greed, I'm talking about life greed of wanting. When sometimes you got to stick with what's needed first. Get rid of that bitter piece and get better by understanding the situation. Be patient for a little while and then look at the picture again. When I see you operate, you have a ton of patience. And I know sometimes people don't realize that, but a big picture patience. Yeah, sometimes
I'm not a patient person either.
No, you're not.
Very tough for me.
Right, it is. But when you look at business or life, you're looking at a bigger picture and you're being a lot more patient than the situation.
That's perfect. You're looking at the larger picture, the bigger picture, whatever you want to call it. You have to stop focusing your mind into the small area.
Right. You've
got to look at what you want in the long run. You know, the first story I told to the class when I started the Bitter Not Better, I says, let me tell you, I said, you know, events do not define us. I said, so let me tell you about a couple events in my life. My dad died, as you know, when I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
He dropped out of a heart attack at 48. You know, and I was there. My mother screamed upstairs, woke me up. It was 11:30 at night. I came running down, saw my father lying there on the sink, hunched over the sink, making noises, thinking I don't know what was wrong with him. Trying to get him up. Dad, come on. Went back, got, you know, our neighbor who was a cop. He came over, but my dad was already dead. His body was already letting it out. It was a horrifying thing to see, but I could have chose to be bitter at that time. My dad died.
We've had this conversation, right?
But I didn't. I took forward. I was the head of the house because my older brother and sister were married already. Right. I took the responsibility of being like the head of the house. I had twin 8-year-old brothers, and I took the role of being their dad. So I could have been bitter, but I chose the other part and letting it go. I miss my dad still to this day, but of course then I needed him at that time. But you know, you gotta let things go, and I chose better, and I became better.
Yes.
You know?
Because holding on to bitter, I've had life experiences, you and I have talked about them, and I've let them go because it only made me bitter. And now that I feel a big relief.
Yeah.
Get rid of the bitter and making yourself better, you feel like a relief, like the whole world's coming off your shoulders. You're going to notice that. If you take the better end of it, you're going to notice, you're going to go, wow, I feel better already. Because I let that go. It's weight.
It's weight. That's perfect. It's weight. It's on your shoulders. You don't forget it, because bitter is that anger. That's that deep anger that you keep harboring and harboring and harboring. You don't have time for that.
No.
If you want to change your life on what situation that bitterness brought you in, you better just change and become better in some way, whether it's better at the skills. I mean, I did all kinds of things back then when I almost lost this business. I mean, Sundays, I didn't work. I came in here in the shop, because we had a shop then, we made cabinets.
I remember that.
And all I did that day on Sunday was make things for the shop that make things go quicker. Jigs, things to easily grab a staple gun, things you just pulled out and grab. I said to myself, I need to become better in the shop quicker so we make more money to get out of this quicker. So again, something that happens wrong in my life, any tragedy, I seem to think better at that point.
You do.
I almost take it upon myself to say, I'm not going to let this sink me. Not everybody's like that, but just let go of the bitterness. It's a weight, it's something you don't need, and it's only going to stop you from going forward and or seeing an opportunity. And to me, opportunity is everywhere. When you change your mindset, like I said before, you change what you see. It's not luck. They were there before you, those opportunities. You just didn't see them.
Yeah. And when you do the better over the bitter, it becomes a lifestyle. And we talk about all that time. Live in a lifestyle. Don't live in a diet mentality of, okay, for 2 months I'm just going to eat carrots. That doesn't work. You need to perform a lifestyle. And better over bitter is definitely a lifestyle.
Yeah, it really is, because if you live in the scarcity mindset, I tell it to people all the time, a lot of younger people come into life, and of course it's easy to be that way. We know what it was like when we first started. Of course, I had nothing. You know, whatever I saved is what I started the business with, and I borrowed some money, but it wasn't easy. But don't live in a scarcity mindset. Yeah, you might have to not eat as well at first. You got to give up things too.
Sure.
But you still have to think about the big picture, where you want to be, where you want to go. And sometimes you have to live that life a little bit just to get a taste of, hey, I can go forward with this.
Sure.
You know, and I think mindset is everything in life. And this is one part of it, to let go of that venom that's stopping you.
That's a good word too. Anything.
Yeah.
You know, let it go, because you can't become better if you're still bitter.
Yeah.
And it's a topic that when you mentioned it last year, it stuck with me, and it always will. When you I got to talk about being better rather than bitter, and I think that you won on that speech big time. I think you definitely hit some lines with that.
Yeah, and I think I think people learn by stories, and I told them a couple of events in my life where, my dad dying, and the time
Joe getting hurt
in the shop and dying on the operating table, and I'm getting brought back, and those are two defining points in my life that could have changed it the opposite way too if I let it. I just didn't let it. I mean, I was down for a long time after Joe got hurt in the shop, but we pulled ourselves out, and you find you can smile again, and I think that's what it is. When the mind is bitter, it stops thinking, and it stops wanting. I want things in my life.
Sure.
So in order to get those things, you got to do things to get there. And it wasn't easy to get to where I am, and it's still not easy some days. Even now, things set us back here at work. Things set me back at home.
Yeah.
Sometimes my attitude sets me back.
Oh, sure.
We all get bitter sometimes.
You're human.
But how quickly do you get out of it? I tell people, when I'm down, I get out of it a lot quicker than I ever used to. And being a perfectionist, it's easy to do that to yourself. Believe me, I always say, and make a joke, it's not easy being me because I'm so hard on myself. But in the same sense, you still gotta look forward. You still gotta come to a day where you say, that's where I wanna be, up in that hill.
Right.
And if you don't have that vision, again, opportunity doesn't knock. It knocks, you just don't see it.
Well, you gotta answer the door too.
Exactly.
So to me, just to finalize everything, I look at the positive end as being better and the negative end being bitter. And we always talk about, let's live in the positive.
Live in the positive, keep that mind forward thinking. Like I said in my post today, don't quit.
No.
Just because things aren't going your way yet, or hasn't been for a long time, doesn't mean it's not gonna happen. You have to get by that hump. If you don't get by that hump, you'll only know what I'm talking about when you get by that hump. And when it does happen, you say, my God, I'm glad I didn't quit.
Right.
You know, because I've been in those points in my life where, believe me, I wanted to quit.
Oh, God.
You know, it gets tough sometimes. But again, keep the mind moving forward. Know that it will get better someday. Like I said, you ever notice after a storm, the next day, like a hurricane, it's always sunny that day.
And it's quiet.
It's quiet.
It's quiet.
So that's the same thing in your life. Just keep the mind, keep the mindset, choose better, get rid of the bitter, and I guarantee you'll go a lot further in your life.
Great way to finish off that segment. We'll have segment 7 coming up, and I'm sure you're going to love it. We always do.
Yeah,
Tim,
we're enjoying it.
always a pleasure.
Same here, my friend.
See you next week.